What the heck is up, YouTube? It is your boy McQuaid, and I am back with another video. We are now officially 6 days away from the 2026 Wilmington, North Carolina Marathon, where I am attempting to qualify for the 2027 Boston Marathon and run way under 250 for the marathon, and hopefully run 245 for the marathon and punch my ticket to Boston next year all in one race. So 6 days away. What we're going to talk about right now is my pre-race video, kind of recapping some of my training that I've done to this point. If you've been following along at all on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, little updates I've been posting, I want to update everyone kind of on my training to this point, my race goals, and then talk about quick strategy and kind of how I'm approaching the course for this race. So covering those three topics here in this video, and I'll put a little note right here of where those topics are in this video if you want to just skip ahead and go. Basically, I'm just doing a pre-race video where I'm going to give you my thoughts on kind of how I'm going to do in this race, what my plan is, and kind of what I'm feeling going into this race in my third marathon. So that's it. Let's get to it. All right, the training to this point for my race. So first, let's put my Strava graph of this 16-week training block on the screen here. So this has been my training to this point, a pretty consistent gradual increase over the course of 16 weeks, leading to this point now. Now, I'm not going to go into the specifics of each of those weeks of training, but what I want to say is I think a big strength I had of this training block was the running I did prior to this training block. So over the fall, even late summer, I finished that Buffalo Marathon in May, and I stayed in pretty good shape. I was running all summer. I wasn't doing any specific training. I wasn't doing any crazy runs, but I was running pretty consistently 4 days a week, especially with some of my friends, just getting in some good runs. Sometimes on the weekends, I would do a pretty serious long run of like maybe 11, 12, 13 miles at a faster clip. But most of the time, I was just running during the week and running on the weekends for fun whenever I wanted. And I just stayed in good shape, and I was working out at the gym a lot in that kind of lead up period to this training block. So I felt really good going into this training block, way better shape than when I was going into my Buffalo Marathon training block. I did not run for maybe 3-4 weeks before that Buffalo Marathon training block. And then I was on Christmas and holiday vacation before that Buffalo Marathon training block, and I just was not super healthy, and I didn't go into that in great shape, is what I'm trying to say. But with this one, I came in good shape, so that's been super helpful. Now, going into the actual training block itself, I got up to 65 miles for 1 week. That's the most I've done probably in 4 or 5 years at least. And I'm super healthy. I stayed super healthy this whole block. Didn't have any injuries. Definitely got sore. Definitely got some bumps and bruises along the way. But another big win from this training block was just my ability to stay healthy. And I invested in a new gym with some new recovery stuff, with a cold plunge, with a red light sauna, and Normatec boots that I could use anytime I wanted. So that was super, super helpful. But okay, so just diving into this training block, I just want to say I really focused on getting my long run up early in the training block and not waiting till the last 3-4 weeks out to do a 20-mile run. I did a 20-mile run. I got up to that. I mean, I was maybe 7-8 weeks out, and I was doing 18, 19, 20-mile runs. So I did about 5 20-plus mile runs for this training block, when in Buffalo, I only did one 20-mile run. Then I did a lot of 18-mile runs. So really happy with the long runs I was able to do for this training block. For this Wilmington Marathon training, I am in Rochester, New York, and it was the worst winter ever to train. This was my hardest winter I've ever faced, and it has fully convinced me that next fall I will definitely be moving down south into the southeast, probably back to North Carolina, which I'm desperate to do. But that being said, this winter was tough for the training. So I was doing some 20-mile runs in conditions that weren't super pretty and weren't super effective for some fast long runs. So the big miss, I think, in my training was I wasn't able to do all the quality that I wanted to do. Where the mileage was there, sometimes the mileage wasn't as pretty as I wanted it to be, with some freezing temperatures, 0 degrees, pure ice, some treadmill runs, some treadmill workouts that I had to do. those were not fun. This was not a perfect training block, but what I will say is if I have to put a grade to this training block for the Wilmington Marathon, I would give this a B+. I really would. And in Buffalo, I gave Buffalo, I think, a B- or a C+. I'd give this a B+. I really was super consistent. I was healthier than I was in Buffalo, and my legs felt better, my body felt better, paces felt better, and I was even more committed to the training for this one. I've been sober from alcohol. I didn't go out for 10 weeks now. So I've been really locked in on my nutrition and my lifestyle, and it's really paid off. So I'm really happy with how this training has been. And right now, we're 6 days out. So I've been tapering now for the last week, and now this week is just easy jogging. So I feel ready to go. And that brings us to my race goals. All right, so some race goals. This is a tricky subject when it comes to running. So I'm gonna put my A goal, my B goal, and my C goal up on the screen here. So start with the C goal, which has been kind of complicated if you've been following me on social media. You know, I'm talking about running 245, or I'm talking about running the BQ, right? To me, they're kind of hand in hand right now. Let me lock in, guys. My number one goal for this whole race is to qualify for the Boston Marathon in 2027. I have to do that. I've put so much into this. I have to run under 250, technically under 250.30 is what it was last year. You can see on the screen here, the Boston breakdown from last year getting in. But I got to run under 250. That will definitely solidify my spot into the 2027 Boston Marathon. Yes, I know the BQ standard for males under 35 is 255, but a 253, a 252 will not cut it. A 250 probably will not cut it. You gotta go low. So my main goal, the C goal, is to run 249 something. If I do that and I leave it all out there, I will be super happy with that. I will be super happy. If I feel like I raced that well and it comes down to a 249, then it is what it is, and I'm going to be super happy. My B goal, I would love to run anywhere from 247 to 248. I think it's a very reasonable goal for the paces I've been training at and how healthy I am and kind of my talent level. I think that's very, very doable, and that'd be exactly 10 minutes faster than I ran in Buffalo in the spring, and all my training's been better. I think that's a good B goal. If I run 247.30, I would be ecstatic. That would be huge. Boston, check mark. You know, a 247 marathon, check mark. Be a perfect scenario. That'd be awesome. I would absolutely take that as a B goal. A goal. I want to run 245, 246 would be awesome. That would be absolute icing on the cake, best case scenario. I've been grinding for this. I want to run 245, 246 ideally, but I'm not going to ruin my C goal and my B goal to chase my A goal, if that makes sense. And I'll get into that in a sec. But to a 245 marathon, running 6:18 pace, 6:20 pace on the dot, I know I can do it. I've been training at that ability level. I know some of the paces haven't been there because I've been training in some freaking Arctic blizzards, but I know I can do that, and that is exactly 11 minutes faster than I ran in Buffalo. I know I can improve by 11 minutes. That's kind of been the norm. I improved 14 minutes from my first marathon to my second marathon, and I know I could drop 10 minutes. I know I can do it, and I've done the training to prove it. So I really, really want to run 245. That'd be awesome. I think that a 245 marathon just sounds awesome. So that's what I want. But all right, but how am I going to get to those goals? So it's important to talk about strategy really quick. So here is the course for the Wilmington, North Carolina Marathon. It is a bit of a funky course. I'll keep it up there for a sec. Starts out at the Wrightsville Beach in Wilmington, North Carolina. And then technically for the half marathon, it is point to point. And then I go out in the half marathoners turn off, the full marathoners go off and do another different loop, a different out and back, and then they finish back at the half marathon point that you passed earlier in the race. So that's the course right there. Now, one more thing I'm going to put on the screen here is the elevation chart of the race. There it is, right there. So this is not a net downhill race, I want to keep in mind. It might look crazy downhill, but there are those random uphills, and the elevation that I am starting at and finishing at are basically the same. So this isn't like a 1,000-foot, downhill course. Where I'm starting elevation wise is pretty much where I'm finishing. It is a very flat course. The total elevation gain is not that much, but it's also the total elevation drop is also not that much. So it's a very flat course, very fast, but really nothing I need to worry about hill wise in this one. Is a slight gradual uphill right at the end from like mile 23 to 25, but nothing I'm too concerned about. I've been doing some long runs on a slightly hilly rolling hill loop, so I should be good and everything feels good. So I should be able to attack some mild hills. But strategy wise, back to it, I am not going to destroy my race going out for a 2:45 marathon. What do I mean by that? I am going to run dead even 2:49 pace for that first half of that race. I don't care how good I feel. I will not be picking it up and dropping a sub 6:20 in that first beginning. It is a hard, I want to run 2:49 pace goal for that first half. Okay, so that means I'm running about 6:26 to 6:28 pace. My watch is going to be on lap mode, just going half mile by half mile, just making sure I'm running, there's a 3:14, there's a 3:13. You're just keeping it right on like a metronome, just locked in on 2:49 pace, and then hopefully I'll be just enough under where in a perfect world, I'm coming through in like 1:23:30 to 1:24:15 would be awesome. Somewhere around there with like a little time in the bank would be perfect. So I want a negative split this race. That is the big goal. So if I can come through the half, how I think I can feel with my training that I've done and everything I've been kind of saving up energy-wise for this race, I think if I can come through right now, if you just give me a piece of paper, Mac, you're coming through 1:24 flat. You're coming through at that. I think if that's what happens, I really am confident I can come back with something 1:21 to definitely 1:22. I really think I can chop it down and do that. So all my training is pointed to that. I really feel ready to do that. But again, I have to be smart. I really feel like the first half, I'm not going to blow this up and ruin this just for chasing some 2:45 number that doesn't actually do anything for me. 2:47 does the same as 2:45 for me on paper. So I just want 2:45 because it sounds cool. But we're going to play this smart. I'm going to run this even. I should have a good squad of guys to roll with for this race. Shout out David, any of the boys watching. I'm hoping I have a good squad just to roll with for those first, whether it's 12 to 16 mile range, and then I can go have fun the last 10 miles. I know how to run 10 miles. I've done it 10 million times. A 10-mile run is something I can do in my sleep. That was my bread and butter in college. I could belt 10-mile runs any day, anytime. And so if I can get to that 16, feeling good, I know for a fact, I know how to ration my energy for a 10-mile run. And so that's kind of my race plan, is get to that half marathon right at 2:49 pace, kind of float for miles 13 to 17 range to feel out how I'm feeling, make sure I'm fueled, make sure I'm on top of my nutrition. I'll put it right here. That's kind of what I'm using for nutrition during the race. So Morton's gels uncaffeinated, and then the Gatorade on course, and then I'll get a bottle of Element salt mix thing around halfway. So that's what I've been training with. I'll be ready to go with that. And that's kind of my strategy. Is just really just stay controlled, try to negative split this race. That's how I run my best, and not compromise myself going out chasing something that it doesn't actually matter if I run 2:45. A 2:46 is just as good. A 2:47, a 2:48 is just as good. I just need to get to Boston in 2027. So that's kind of my strategy. Super excited. Thank you if you've even watched this far in the video. I'm really excited going down there in 6 days from today, probably more like 4 days from when this gets uploaded. But super excited again. I'm super grateful for anyone that has tuned in to any videos or sent me any message at all during this. That's literally the reason why I do it, is to inspire some people to maybe chase their goals or chase something that they might think is unattainable. This is why I do any of this stuff and why I even share these silly videos. So if there's something you want, you can go do it. It doesn't matter what's in your way. You can find a way around it. You can always keep working. I've been battling my whole life through things that, whether people have put a challenge in front of me or something comes up I wasn't expecting, all I know how to do is battle and adapt and figure it out and keep grinding. So this is what I do. I'm excited to go show off all the hard work down in North Carolina. So just want to say thank you again if you've even watched this far in the video, and I'm looking forward to vlogging the race, and I'll try to do a good vlog after this race because my Buffalo vlog was just horrible, but I did a post-race video. But hopefully I can vlog a lot of this video and get some decent clips for everybody. But that's what I got. Let's go, baby. Time to qualify for Boston in 2027. Peace out, everyone. See ya.